enormously with that. But in the long term, this is a lot better. Think of trying to do this when and added some projects to help us out in here. Take care of that. The City Council, City of Lidle, Texas, will meet in a special session on Monday, August the 7th at Lidle City Hall at 6:30 p.m. The agenda is for us to go ahead and submit the tax rate to the City Council on here. I don't think we're going to have anything with executive session or anything, right? So we're just going to go ahead and submit this. But before we go in here, if you could, since this is a meeting, can you go ahead and do the roll call so we can go ahead and take that?
District 1, Alderman Miguel Aguirre.
Present.
District 2, Alderman Richard Hughes.
Present.
District 3, Alderman David Emery.
I'm here.
District 4, Alderman Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And District 5, Alderman Charles State.
Not present, okay, and we'll go ahead and go into it. This one, we're gonna have two meetings. We're gonna do this one, and then we'll after we get done, we'll close this one, and then we'll go into one that's gonna take a little bit more time. So I'll go ahead and turn it over. Matt, here we go.
Yes, I'll present this one, if you go to presentation. So again, this is just informational. We're not deciding anything tonight, it's just kind of a snapshot of where we're at. So these are the tax rates that we received for the 23-24 budget cycle. We can go to the next one. So just to kind of show you the comparisons from approved rates from the 22-23 budget, you can see Lidle, Hondo, Devon, all the cities right there. You have an M&O rate, an INS rate, and then your total tax rate. So where the M&O and INS work, it's that total tax rate at the end you'll look at. And you can see that in the 22-23 year, Lidle was the lowest, by a decent little amount there. So progressing into next year, or the current year now, if you'll go to the next one. So the top one is what we're looking at right there. Those are the tax rates we're presenting to you. So for the 23-24 tax rate, the no new revenue rate is 0.341605 per $100 evaluation. The voter approval rate, okay, so again, for those that don't know, the no new revenue rate is the exact tax rate we would adopt to bring in the exact same amount of money we did the previous year. So then you have a voter approval rate. It's 0.388374. That is the rate that the council can go up to and approve without forcing an election. So we can kind of edge up to that, and that's as high as we can go by state law. The de minimis rate is 0.548168 per 100, and what that is, that's the rate you would need to adopt to bring in exactly 500,000 more than you did the previous year. So if you look there on our rates from the 22-23 and then the 23-24, the rates that go across kind of shows the difference there. The voter approval rate is an increase from the rate we adopted last year, but it's only a 0.0240 increase in taxes if that's the rate the council decides to go with. So, and that's all we got. It's just the presentation of those numbers to you, and that kind of leads into the budget and how we keep moving from here.
So just so you know, I know the terminology is a little bit confusing. It says voter approval rate. It's like, I guess you'd use a term like pre-approval or something, or the council thing. So we are authorized to go ahead and do this in a different meeting and go ahead and go after the 0.38, okay? If we felt that we needed to get the 0.54, then we would need to go out and put it in an election, okay? We would actually have to go out to the people and they would have to approve that.
So if we go above the 0.388374, I think it was, the voters could petition us and force an election, and if they win, it takes us backwards. So we don't want to, you never really want to go over that rate. It's kind of what the law says. That's what you can kind of get up to. That's the top of the fence. Don't go over it. If you go over it, then the voters can have a say.
Yep. So you kind of have an idea. So overall, we're doing pretty good, and you look, even if you go to the new rate, the 0.38, you can look at the other folks that are in there. This is from last year.
That's last year. So everybody's probably gonna, I would imagine some people might go up, might go down, but remember, this year we're capturing the 8.5 million certificates of obligation that we didn't capture the year before. And that's money that we're gonna go into the debt, the INS portion, and that's what Lynette and Samco worked on to move our debt around so we can capture that with our tax rate. It didn't get done last year.
Okay.
Any other questions? That, all those numbers are derived from that tax calculation worksheet that you have in front of you, a lot of numbers. Our Loretta Holly at the tax office prepared that for us, so some good reading information. I think it said our increased value from new homes and stuff like that this year was 16 million, I believe.
So Matt, all we're gonna do is just information.
There's information on how we did it.
And then we come back later on and stuff, but you kind of have an idea in the background in case you need to do that.
Kind of let you know what we were looking at internally to start the budget process on what our incomes could be for ad valorem.
And what Matt's talking about, what Matt's talking about is on that second page right there. You can kind of see what he was talking about the total on the values, and these were the values that I put together, so she could work her numbers up.
Roger that. And we're gonna use some of this information so that we can
Yeah.
go ahead and look at the budget. That's the other reason why we wanted to go ahead and present this to the council, so you kind of have an idea. So it's just following the sequence of things that we need to look at, just so we can kind of prepare ourselves and do those things. But unless you guys have any questions about this, or is there anything for Matt or
I just have a quick question. Out of curiosity, these other cities that are listed, are they pretty much hitting their max voter approved rates?
Okay, so I don't know that because a lot of them will be presenting tonight, their rates. I can tell you, we saw one that is going, well, I don't know what they're going to, but I saw it was above what their previous year was as well.
I don't see how it can.
I know, that's what I was thinking as well.
It's inevitable.
Okay. It's all good. Do you have any questions or anything?
So I gave you the long form because a lot of people have kind of questions and to understand how we come up with those numbers, so you can kind of see what we're putting in there.
It's interesting math, try to do all that, but it's just a way that we can kind of get an idea of, in order for us to be able to operate, what would be the basis in there, unless we want to go to the voters and ask for an additional increase and put it in the ballot. That goes along with that. Okay, if we don't have any further questions, since this is an actual special meeting, I need a motion for us to go ahead and conclude the special meeting at 6:38. Can I have a motion for us to go ahead and?
Motion.
Okay, got a motion? We got a second? Okay. All those in favor for us to conclude the meeting at 6:38? Opposed? Okay, thank you so much. 6:38 PM, we'll go ahead and show it as closed. Thanks for all the hard work. I know there was a lot of researching and trying to put all this stuff together and waiting for those rates that we were getting from the counties and everything else. So I appreciate all the help from everybody that was involved with that. We appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one, and we'll go ahead, and this is going to be a notice of the workshop. The city council of the city of Lidle, Texas will hold a workshop on August the 7th, 2023 at Lidle City Hall, located at 14916 Main Street at 6:30 PM. The purpose for the workshop is to discuss the city's budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. All of you can go ahead and show us opening the workshop at 6:39 PM. All right? So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Lynette, so we can go ahead and go over the budget. I can tell you, she's been working really hard. Staff has been working really hard to try to get all this stuff together. There's some areas that we're going to need to go ahead and discuss and think critically of how we can actually help ourselves in the short and in the long term that goes along with that. But it's good for us to get started on the right, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lynette.
So, first of all, we've changed the format. So Matt and I both agreed that it would be best if we broke out into more funds to make it easy for trackability and more cost control purposes. So we're gonna have a little bit longer budget than what we had the year before. But let's go ahead and you can, if you look at the recap, and this is one
We're gonna use the packet, this packet
Yes,
first,
please.
okay? So we have this packet, and there's a spreadsheet, that's the one that we're gonna go ahead and get started with, okay?
these are yours.
Make sure.
So, on the first page, I want to bring something to your attention, so as we're going through this, I want it in the back of your mind. Right now, the way things look, I'm at a $300,000 deficit of the way the budget looks. I'm at $308,648. So as we go through these funds, I'm going to have to shorten somewhere to be able to balance the budget. I've spent hours on this, trying to get through it of what we can do. I have some ideas and I'll go through that as well. All right, so let's flip the first page over to the 100 GNA. So GNA, General and Administrative, that captures all of our taxes, franchise tax, permits, hotel tax, all that money that's coming in. But it also offsets with all of our internal here, any of the administrative that works here in the office. So based on Loretta's new numbers, Matt and I both feel comfortable that we're gonna hit at least $1 million in ad valorem tax. That may even be a little bit low. Andrew thinks I'm gonna hit 1.2. We decided to keep it at $1 million, just I'd rather be low than high.
And that's taken into account the voter approval rate that we were looking at, that we talked about a second ago, just council understands.
Right,
And we're talking about everything combined for all three counties, right?
Yes,
yes,
that would be our ad valorem.
and that's on the lower rate, okay? Saying that y'all don't wanna go higher than the next. And that's kind of where I'm set, I'm not 100% set on that number, like I said, I'm going between 1 to 1.2. Jump on down, the rest of that's just tax stuff. The bigger, I'm gonna go through the biggest income factors.
Where are we at now? I'm sorry.
It's, past all the ad valorem and the penalties and interest and all that, a lot of that's gonna go back over more revenue on that side,
Okay.
where I won't have to be dealing with so much of that, so you won't see. You see where you're at on the first page right here,
Maybe it might be good to look at this while she's scrolling over there.
sorry.
Okay.
So we're gonna go down through here, penalties and interest, attorney fees, that's all about property tax, we get down to hotel tax. Our hotel tax runs around, on average, $9,500 per month per year. Sometimes we get 12,000, sometimes we get 7,000, depending on the month. That's how I came up with that 110. It would be nice eventually if we could get another hotel here. That's not gonna happen anytime soon, but that's how I base that number on. Franchise tax, I'm torn on that one as well. I've been going back and forth. I don't know what the new strike is gonna do, and I don't know what, the truck stop will do when they open. That is gonna increase. So last year we budgeted 171,000, we're at 155. I've got 2 months to go. We're going to go over that 171. I just don't know where I'm comfortable saying that the money, how much we're gonna bring in. Because I can't really say what Cindy's doing up here yet at Stripes.
So that's for the city sales tax, right?
Yes.
The city sales tax.
No, that's franchise.
I thought the franchise is like some of the
The
power
LLCs.
companies and all.
Yeah, the LLCs or
Yeah, but-
any of that. I'm
Because we
sorry, I said Cindy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, see, I meant CPS with all the new stuff.
And then we still have the possibility too, depending on how quickly they get in there, is Rise Broadband too, right? So there might be a little bit of that, a little wiggle room in there too.
So we have a lot of variables that I still can't estimate 100%. I still think that's low, right there.
Okay.
Sales tax, city sales tax, like I said, I'm still estimating a little bit low at 1.4 million here. I really do think we're going to bring in more than that, mostly with Stripes opening up, with HEB expanding, and the new businesses that are coming in. I think Colin and I talked, I think we've got 4 new, we've got Colin coming in, there was 4 other ones that we had talked about. I think we're probably gonna be a lot higher than that, but again, I'm being extremely conservative. That bond revenue there, you see, that's a little bit confusing, but that's 579,000 that we have left that I have to carry. It's actually a carryover. It's not new money coming in, it's just a carryover. It's gonna reflect somewhere else in the budget. Permits, this is something that Paul and I had talked about for a little bit. Now, I'm doing this based on average on what she's bringing in currently. And again, we're guesstimating this one more time. So, guessing at it, we've already done 111 this year. I kept it low at 110. If the council feels that they want to go higher than that, they think more is going to come in, I'm more happy to change that.
I think let's let the housing market dictate, because we, in the current year budget, we ran some of those numbers, not the relative permitting, but the impact fees, we ran those kind of high because of the numbers they originally told us. Well, that busted on us. So you're gonna see us do some budget amendments where some big numbers are coming way down. So I'd rather, like talking on that, I think it'd be better for us to come in and say, hey, we're gonna amend that up and give us extra cushion to spend somewhere else versus the other one.
Yeah, well, we had the big delay with the rock that they
Yes,
were
yes.
Rosewood.
And I hear anywhere from 6 to 10 homes a month to now I'm hearing 14 to 18. I think we let them start building and see where the market takes them.
Beer and wine license, right now, we're bringing about $380 in a month. We will bring more once Colin is up to date. There is another one that we just have a license on, but I have that low as of right now. Beverage tax beverage permits are the same thing. I'm in the same boat with that. Garbage collection fee. It is currently the same as it was last year. Matt is going to talk about, when did you say it would be due?
And probably
September?
early to mid-September is when Waste Management is gonna release their CPI index. And that will let us know what percentage they're gonna be going up. And then from there, we'll determine if our rate structure that we have can absorb that, or if we need to look at our rates to the end user. But we'll have to wait till we get closer to an actual approving a budget to know.
Interest earned, the CDs that do bring in collection fees, credit card fees. I'm doing all this based upon the average of what we did this year and what I see coming on over the last 6 months. These are our main incomes when it comes to what we call governmental incomes. And right now we're sitting at the 3.8 million. So with that said, do any of you, since you're out and about, do you have any opinions on where you would like those budget revenues?
I mean, I think it's good that we're conservative, and then we go forward, and we have some flexibility on the things that are gonna happen. But, I mean, those are the numbers that we actually are looking at. So if we're looking at about 3.8 million coming in next year, those are the things that we'll need to be able to take into consideration.
And we said we're at 300 deficit right there. And if, talking to Samco, they really think our ad valorem is gonna be close to 1.2. That's 200,000 more, so it's really 100,000, so it's already a good news.
Well, some of these, we got a few in here that are very conservative.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit more, give it flexibility and stuff. So,
Well, when you were working these numbers, did y'all talk at all about the fact that 24 is an election year and any impact that
So Andrew and
the
I.
anxieties of election might bring in here?
Andrew and I have long talks about this. He thinks that the construction and all that rates are gonna go down, and then they're gonna come back up, so we're gonna have a correction. that's why a little bit more, why we're going on the conservative rate with the budget, just because he sees that drop coming. And it's just, he's in these workshops all the time with it. And I trust him of what he's saying, I agree with him too. So if it does, it could go either way. That's the part. I mean, if we were to get somebody else in, could it start booming again? Maybe. I mean, it's a crystal ball though. And
I would think that the current administration might try to pull things fiscally to boost the economy a bit, just to make themselves more electable. That would work in our advantage up to the next election until we see who gets in there.
I would still rather go conservative.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just philosophically talking here about things that are coming out.
Now, the good thing for us here, and it's one of the strategies of what we try to get the amount of the homes, the average median of the homes around in this area is 300,000 plus, depending on where you're looking at. So our homes that are being built right now are in the 200, so they're more affordable than the median that they're looking for. So you have folks that are either moving into the area and going into those, or people that are inside other areas that say, I can't afford those homes, and they're actually downsizing and coming into our area that way.
Right.
So in some ways, it's a good thing that our homes are at the medium income level, which is what we're looking for, not only for affordability, but also for workforce, because we need to have a workforce here if we're looking at being able to grow. You gotta have the workforce around here to support the retail as it happens too. So I think a combination of different things, but that's one of the other pluses for us based on the targeted homes that we're working on.
So I do think these numbers are a little bit low. I think we will see an increase in those revenues, but I hate to keep them high and then come in low.
When would you see the first milepost to start making adjustments? How far down the year?
I would say 6 months.
Okay.
I would say 6 months in, to at least give it a good solid average.
Quarter wouldn't do
I think I would be very careful in a quarter because you're gonna be going into.
We're about to go into Christmas and all that.
Well, you're gonna go into the holidays.
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
So, I think 6 months is reasonable.
I would like what we call a hot quarter and a slow quarter.
Yeah.
Because we see a huge variation in between those, mostly like with sales tax and like hot, even like the summer, like we don't have as much income coming in from the hotel as we do, as of course during the summer. And Paul has been maxing it out, or Paul has been giving me deposits maxing that, like up to 12,000. During the other times, it was 8,000, I think, for your deposits.
And Miguel and Richard, and you probably aware I'm repeating myself again, but, our fiscal year begins in October. So it's October to the end of September. So it's not based on the calendar year, it's based on the fiscal year. So, what we're doing now is not gonna start taking effect until October timeframe. And if you noticed in the bottom on there, on that spreadsheet that she has, so depending on how we do on this year and what we have, there might be some transfers, right?
We could do it out of capital, we could bring it over
So,
if we need to. I'm
depending.
trying not to.
but I know one for sure is gonna transfer, and that's gonna be the hotel tax, right? Yeah, we're
it
gonna have,
comes straight across. to
it's
what's
coming right across, yeah, exactly. So, so there might be some adjustments in there, on there that go along with that. But we'll see what that happens after the end of the fiscal year.
So the gas station is not built yet on this side, it's not included on these numbers?
The stripes, you mean? The stripes, are you talking about the one over at 3175?
The one pretty much.
The 3175 is not, they haven't even started yet, so.
And I'm not gonna see the impact of stripes until probably, I would give them 3 months.
You won't see the sales tax come until 3 months after they're open. We'll see some sales tax hit with the construction as they're buying items that are taxable that go into the store. So they buy them month 1, the state gets everything month 2, we get ours in month 3. So ours is always 3 months after they actually collect it.
So, and right now, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, they're shooting for the end of the year. opening?
I hope, we're gonna see, we're still waiting on this water line that TxDOT's relocating that may,
But that's their targeted, right?
Yeah.
They want to open by the end.
they're
of the
moving quick.
So to answer your question, it's towards the end of the year.
So we'll fall inside this fiscal year.
All right, good question. Good question. All right. So now the expenditures.
Yes.
Yes, here we go.
So our larger, the larger expenditures are always first going to be your salaries. And what's associated with your salaries. That number there, the 514 that you see on the screen is gonna match your salaries from the shorter, longer piece of paper that you have to open up. So if there's two pieces of paper that I gave you. So if you look at the 100 salaries that are on there, that 514 will reflect back to what you have. And it gives it a complete breakout to how I came up with that number.
So you're saying the 514 is to this one, right? This is the breakdown that ties into that right there.
So if you look, that is considered on the screen, I have it now as the admin. That figure, the 514 is Matt, myself, Paula, Rosario, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce y'all, this is Rosario. She's Paula's and I, like other half out there, she helps with all the accounts payable, she does a lot of permits, and she's wonderful for the whole office, so. She's here to learn. Rosario, Liza, the open code compliance, and Virginia. That's all their salaries, that's the breakout of their salaries. That includes the variable expenses of healthcare, FICA, and retirement. Their total comp and liability to the city is 514. So, when you see that, some people are like, oh, you know, the 514 just in salary, no, that's everything. So take a minute, look at that, and you can ask any questions.
And that's gonna be higher the coming year from the current year, because we moved all the admin people into admin versus paying, some out of water, some out of sewer, some out of this. We will transfer out of those funds into the admin, the G&A fund to cover those costs, which is a common practice.
In that number there, we've also put in possible overtime. We did want to structure some overtime just because we have got very busy lately. It may or may not happen, it can't be flat across the board like that. But we did want to put some kind of cushion in there. But that would be the only thing that would be, a little flexible.
But on this, okay. So on the other spreadsheet, when you're looking at the 514,000, that's just city hall.
That's only city hall. Those are the ones that you see right there in admin.
Got it.
And how it breaks down.
Okay. So the court is completely separate.
Yes, sir. Once, those being our bigger expenses, as you go down, then we have the other expenses as you go through the spreadsheet. Anything from workers' comp to engineering fees, attorney fees, what it costs to run our tax appraisal system, building inspections, janitorial supplies, any kind of, expense that would come out of the city. Some of these we expense up 100%, some of these we barely touched at all.
That tax collection system, that's the fee we pay the county.
No, that was last year, and as Paula was looking at, I didn't put a fee in there this year. So I don't even think we're gonna have a read-only, the way that I understood it talking to Paula. So I don't think that Harris will be charging us anything.
We're gonna be paying the county. The above that, the 18,000 is what we're paying to Addison County to collect our taxes.
On the salary,
Yes, sir.
what does, parks fall under?
Parks.
Gonna have its own division
It
now.
has, yeah. So,
And what does it entail?
that's Mr. Wayne. And he opens the park, closes the park, does the maintenance of the park, the restrooms, helps with the community center.
The overall goal is we're gonna add, so code compliance was a part-time position in the city, and parks needed additional help to keep the parks maintained. So we're gonna change something up internally on a contract we do to save that money and put that towards parks. So we're gonna split the second parks guy between code compliance and parks. So half their time is gonna be out doing code compliance, the other half is gonna be working with the parks. It'll be a full-time employee, just their time will be split. So if they need to flex them more one way or flex them back.
But they're just listed under the parks.
Yeah, we split a full employee split between half admin, half parks.
But the number of years is a reflection of the full amount
On which one?
on Wayne,
For Wayne's salary, yes.
So Wayne's salary would be full
the
percent.
full amount.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
the
would
other-
be
the other
the-
It's the open
Yeah,
position.
the open position is back to back.
And this other position hasn't been filled yet?
No, sir. That's a proposed position.
That's
That's what we're waiting to see how we move in the budget.
Yes.
So we might be looking for somebody code compliance. Not that I'm looking at somebody.
It'd be
Yeah.
part-time code compliance and well, I say part-time.
Yeah.
Code compliance / parks maintenance.
And that's honestly a great move because it's using, we can have somebody full-time instead of having two separate ones, full-time, have all the benefits that go along with that and have the flexibility to be able to adjust that goes along with that. I know with Wayne and Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about Wayne's and some of the responsibilities so we can give Public Works a little bit less and take care of the community center and stuff like
That's
that?
what we're gonna try to transfer Wayne, when James and them have to stop fixing leaks, doing things to set up for an event on Friday at the community center or tear it down. That's taking a lot of time away from them when they need to be out fixing things, where now we can hopefully transition that into parks and let them kind of take on parks, community events, stuff like that. Potentially maintaining city facilities for stuff like that.
So that's the other reason with the two-person concept to kind of give a little bit of flexibility and give our Public Works a chance to be concentrating on that instead of getting pulled from the work site.
And is that gonna require a job description,
Yes.
proposal and such?
We already have one for parks labor. It's the one Wayne has.
But to include the other responsibilities? Or that's just gonna, that's.
We can update this current one, yeah.
We have one for code compliance, we just need to put.
We'll put the two together.
Thought between the two.
Yeah, we'll add a couple more duties into the parks.
But it's a good point, it's a good point. But yeah, we already have the job descriptions, we just need to merge them and go along with that.
Well, I understand that on the front page, where you have code compliance listed at 15.6 salary, and then 15.6 for this open parks place. Is that gonna be 15.6 times 2 to give him a full-time job?
Yes, sir. So
Okay, I just want to make sure I
Yeah.
understood it.
So there's two line items. There's one there and then we put the
All
other
right, so you
one.
just pull a salary from two places and
And
make
split it
one
into
job with different description. Okay, got it.
Good question.
John, have any other questions on Gene? I know it's a lot to absorb.
Yeah, so the big thing for the council to take into consideration is when you hear about salaries and you look at these amounts, there's a lot more involved with these salaries. There's a lot of additional costs that go along with that we have to be able to pay for every employee. So even though you might say, well, we're only paying 50-something thousand, but when you look at everything else that goes along with that, it multiplies on there. So it's a lot more that we have to cover.
That volunteer fire department, is that equipment or is that personnel?
That's a contract. That's what we pay them, a stipend monthly to provide fire protection to the city.
So they do get paid, the ones that stay there?
Yeah, so as far as the city's concerned, we pay a flat fee to the fire department, and they're required by contract to meet these parameters. Internally, the fire department pulls money from all their contracts and is able to hire people, and they have 3 to 4 people daily that are on shift at the firehouse to provide coverage. But the city's not responsible for providing equipment, insurance, salaries, anything. It's just the flat fee, you're responsible to provide fire protection however you see fit, as long as it's within these contract boundaries.
And it's a monthly, every month, on the first, Rosario does a check, so it's a monthly cycle that comes out.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not part of the city, it's not a city department or anything like that.
So if I'm correct, I'm glad to see that James's group has the 2 openings included.
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
We have 2 openings in Jameson, 1 in Seward.
Thank you.
One?
Hey, have we used,
That's what I'm
have we used any money for the EMS building? I noticed that we put
No,
$5,000 in there. Did we have money from this past year?
2,000, and we have not expensed it, so I've met with them already, and I'm gonna see what our department can do themselves to help bring some of the costs down. Next year, we're trying to up it because they have, it's not a lot of things, but there's several little things that could add up.
Okay,
One's gonna be we have to call in a door company to come look at that roll-up door, figure out how to work and seal that up better. But I think most of it can be done internally and save costs.
okay. So we should be okay with the 5,000 based on what they're asking, the 5 and the 2?
We replaced the light last year for it. They really wanted that bigger light out there for cleaning out during the night, and then, Mr. Bentley did some air conditioning work. Other than that, we really haven't did it.
There's some additional.
Yeah, I've got the list and I've met with them, so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool beans. I was just wondering if we needed to add.
What we've expensed so far, but they, not including what we need.
Yeah.
It's been one this year. Any other questions on 100s, on the, what we call administration part?
The stormwater, the admin, okay.
You're on that.
The stormwater utility expense, that's for.
That's what will be remaining, so when we signed the contract with them, it was, don't remember, like $200 and something thousand to prepare that utility for us. And they haven't expensed all that, so we took the total they've done, what they've charged us so far this year, so that's the remainder of what they're still due to complete the job. So that's just, it'll be a carry forward based off something council wanted to do this budget year.
Just curious, what's Bond's employees, are they like a match?
No, sir, they have errors and omission policy, a separate one that Josie has with the city. I have talked to, TNL today, and we're being double covered by that, so I'm gonna drop it. But she had errors and omission in a private, insurance company here in town, Alexander was doing it for us. We really don't need both. That comes with our TNL policy, I found that recently.
The economic development fees, that's including our
So
work
that-
with
Yes.
the chamber, is that what that number is?
No, so chamber has its own, so if you look at, just above emergency management expense, that's the chamber expense that we've agreed to, the 35,000 to pay for the promotion of, or a city employee, or however we approved it. No, so,
That was a 1-year agreement.
Yeah, if that gets, we're anticipating it would
You
get
just
renewed.
added it in.
We left it in there in case it gets renewed. We can
I
count.
just-
Still has to come to council, right?
Going back to the other one with economic development, how did we come up with a 33,000 on that?
So here's what and I'm jumping forward to something I've got to present on later this month. The council tasked me with figuring out how do we do grants and all that based on all of our needs and wants and everything council talked about. Council, if you get serious about getting grants and promoting the city, there is a firm that can do that for us. And because they're sole source and they do grants, lobbying, and economic development as part of the city's team, we can split their overall cost. Some out of just general administration money, and the rest out of hot tax money, because they're gonna be out promoting the city to bring people in. So that's how we're gonna hopefully cover their costs.
So this is, okay.
This would be a firm that is actively out saying, this is why Lytle, this is why build Lytle.
And I know those of you that have been here before, this is the same firm that we had talked about before. So it's an opportunity for us. Back then, we just didn't have the chance or the money, the affordability to be able to do that. But now where we're at and the things that the council is asking us for doing, our residents are asking to do, Matt has actually worked this out for us to be able to come up with a way to be able to afford it.
And again, none of this is set in stone, this is just, council is giving tasks to us as staff, so we're telling you, this is what it's gonna take to accomplish all of
And
it.
you just put it on.
Yeah, so we're building it best case scenario.
So we'll still have a chance to talk about it a little bit more, but just so it's reflected in the numbers right now.
So during the council meeting, when we asked, do we have that in budget? And it could be, easily said, yes, we put it in our budget. Great. Thanks for looking ahead.
That's good stuff. Okay. Anything else, council, any other questions in there?
This is the most, I guess, complicated one. The rest of them go much faster.
Anything?
Let me ask on the attorney and legal fees. We've been with our new law firm a year now, or a little over a year.
Yes, sir.
How are we tracking on that compared to previous years? We're paying more, we're paying less?
We are paying more. I'll let Matt take that one.
So we are paying more, but we're also doing a lot more. When I say doing a lot, we've got a lot more going on. We've had some lawsuits the city that they've worked on for us that have all since been dismissed, and some internal things they've worked on. But just, I mean, every time staff is tasked by council to go do something, we have to research it. And if it's an ordinance, we have to work with legal to draft said ordinance, you know? So example is we've got one we need to do for the new phase of Saddle Ridge, accepting the roads inside, you know. We've got the previous one, so we drafted it all up, we got everything we needed internally. And then legal has to review it still to make sure nothing's changed in the law, and there were some changes in that. So yes, there's some added expense, but as we continue to grow, it takes legal to do that.
I understand they have a full team up there of specialists, right?
Oh, they do?
So if we have a special request that we need, they send it to their expert.
I can
polish
tell
it up
you,
and give it back to us.
with this firm, we have not had third party anything outside of the firm to another lawyer to look at. They've been able to handle it in-house. So where Jesse is our primary go-to person for any of us here in the office, if it's, you know, something to do with contracts or employment, you know, we always have a different attorney we work with, and they keep Jesse in the loop as the overall head. So.
And just for the council's historical, I mean, we've been very busy, but one of the great things when we picked this firm that came over to us, I mean, if we get the big guy involved, he charges $250. If we get Jesse or Molly, it's about $230 an hour that we get charged. And then if we use our clerk, it's about $190 that we have in there, or attorney for the court that goes along with that. Before, we used to get a flat fee, our previous attorney, and that was $350 across the board. So the closest that we get, we're saving $100 an hour by using this firm. If we go just with Frank all the time, but if we actually spend more time with Jesse. So that's about $120 less per hour.
Yeah, I have to look at their rates
Yeah.
again. It's on their bill, I believe.
It's 230. So actually, yeah, 230 to 350, that's 120, right? So,
Who's the other attorney that was here one time?
the previous attorney was Tom Tate.
No, those are not.
Oh, Richard, he's just, so Jesse was out, so he came in, yeah, we had, Frank Garza was our last one, he's the head honcho for the firm, or one of the head honchos. And then the meeting before that was Richard that sat over there, the white gentleman with glasses on.
No, he was out there, but he came and talked.
No, that was for the PID. Probably the
PID, yeah.
PID.
Oh, that's another.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of attorneys, so remember, we're working,
You're talking about Parkinson Hurst, so you're,
But he does do stuff with us.
yes, and that's covered, the costs that you're seeing from the attorneys out here for the PID are covered by fees that the developer of the PID has already paid, that's not coming out of our budget.
Yeah, we get them back.
Yeah, we have a lot of attorneys in lately.
Yeah, the PID has a whole different team.
It seems like he's been around with us for a while.
Yes, yes.
he's been through how many bonds? That's,
Yeah, this is the financial side though.
Claim.
Samco, this is through,
not but claim, what, 10 years?
yeah, so we've had a few.
So are the highest costs of these new attorneys are 250, is that average for the more, upper level attorneys are 230, and, our prosecutors 190?
You know, I've been impressed from the very beginning with the law firm that we have now. Because of the depth of expertise, I just feel very confident when we say, hey, Matt, get with the lawyers and work this out. They feed that out to the person that really has the experience, and they've done it before, so they don't have to do all the new research and reinvent the wheel. And that makes the turnaround time, I think, shorter.
And exactly, we get a quick turnaround.
So, that number, if it's an increase, doesn't bother me. I think we're getting a quality product.
All right. Any other questions? Anything, Mike? Anything else that you have a question about, or Miguel, Richard, anything else that you see on there?
I have a question. I see we have water, gas, and sewer. Do we not have any electrical?
No.
Yes, sir. So electrical is all covered by either CPS, or we have an open market such as.
AEP, Reliant,
Reliant,
stuff like that.
But we do not handle any electrical.
Yeah, we have companies that pretty much do all that. We don't have to worry about it. We do have, just for your reference, it's kind of like a pseudo mix, but we're under contract with CPS to also take care of our gas. So they do all the maintenance that goes along with the gas too. So it just saves the city some expenditures by having to have the certifications and the trained people and everything that goes along with that. So, and it's been a while. James, how long has CPS been running our gas?
I think since '09, I'm not
A
sure.
long time.
So it's been a while that we've been working with them, but definitely we'll see in the future too with a gas contract, right? And see what happens. with
It's
that
built
one,
for what they're looking for this year.
too. So, yeah, no, so it comes with the territory, but we do get some help and some relief by working with some of these folks that have a lot more depth, and they take care of those things for us. Just like with brush, right? Brush pickup, we actually have it contracted out. And we use them to go ahead and take care of that instead of us having Public Works running around or us asking Waste Management to take care of that. So we have other folks that actually help us out with things like that.
Another good thing about CPS is our citizens can take advantage of their programs.
True, very true. Yeah,
They have a lot larger base to go by, so.
Now, since, Lidle, to me, it seems like it keeps on moving out that way a little bit at a time. Now, does CPS go with it?
there's just like water. You
They
wanna
have
talk a little
they have a
bit
service territory, so we call them CCNs. It's our service territory, what the, who are they, the
Public
federal,
Utility
Public
Commission?
Utility Commission, there you go. Public Utility Commission has said, hey, for this geographic area, you're the provider of said utility. So that's the same with, kind of like school district, right? Everybody's got their area, so that's the area for CPS. So if it pushes, I mean, if you have a big subdivision, I mean, you could have potentially half is within a CPS territory, and the other half is in another utility territory. And they would have to bring in two
Inside
separate.
the city limits, as you're aware, we have CPS, and then over towards your area, we got AEP, especially everybody that's in Coleman.
Because what, the reason I'm saying that is because CPS goes even further out, but that area it doesn't. It seems like the bar where I have, that's where CPS stops.
That's where they stop, yeah.
But in other areas further than that, CPS does go in those areas. And I don't
I haven't
understand
seen
that.
that.
I know we're
whether-
trying to get Melissa to give us a little bit towards that side of where the lines are at and try to help us out. But just like Matt said, just like the school district has like little turns and, with the school district, you'll see the same thing with the power companies. But some of them don't make sense because it's like, okay, there's a road and it's kind of,
Yeah.
so, but there is a service territory that is identified, there's lines drawn out, and if you fall in there. Now, if there's a subdivision or something comes in and they work out a deal where one says, hey, we just want to be under one, and they trade among themselves, that's all worked out among them.
And if you go to that, I think it's a public
Public
utility
utility.
website, it's real neat because it will show you every water district and who has water. It's really neat to look at, and it'll have probably the electrical as well.
Yeah. So-
I mean, I think it's neat to look at. It might be boring to somebody.
Yep. All right, anything else on this? Any other questions or anything else before Lynette moves on to the next section? All right, there we go.
All right, court is real short and sweet. Court is a two people process, with me kind of on the outside of it. The fines, I know that we have brought in $520,000 worth of fines right now. Richie and I talked on Saturday, kind of reduced that down a little bit. I'm gonna go with 450 for next year, just based on average and then, the conversation that Richie and I had. It could go up, it could go down. And we can't really estimate tickets or fines, or I don't.
You guys are doing a great job now in the sense of reclaiming, and getting some of that money, so you guys have been doing a lot.
We're almost caught up. Where are we at, Richie? Are we a month out?
Yeah, we're actually, it's taken us over a year to get our court date closed in where they ought to be. So like we're fixing to close court, it won't even be maxed out the morning. It won't be maxed out, and we'll have to close it on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
So we're finally caught up. Because before last year, a lot of the money that came in this year's budget, that started in October, a lot of those tickets were written in probably April and May. We got so far out on the court.
Well, we're getting also help from our attorney, right, to try to get some of those resolutions resolved.
A little bit, not as much as we would like right now, but we're hoping that it'll speed up.
Good.
It's all based on how fresh of data we can give them, and that's what we're working on, getting them fresher data to work off of.
Awesome.
So as we were talking about that, I budgeted out a little over 20,000 in income from Purdue on that part. And then fines through on the base. It really isn't that intense amount that comes in, so it's low. Salary and wages, that's gonna go back to the long spreadsheet that I gave you on the legal sheet. It matches that 148, matches what you have there, and you can see how I broke that out piece by piece. That's based on 2 employees. And then it is more short expense ratios. So I did increase a little bit of bailiff in court just because we have been having 2 courts a month. Our attorney and legal fees, I did go up a little bit. Austin does do stuff from the office for us. So if we have cases or something, there's stuff that we will email him and he will try to settle when he's not here and he still get billed for.
But that takes care of the times over
Yes, sir.
here.
But that's also what's helping us
Yeah.
close those in too.
So
So,
that's a good thing.
you have a copy of his, I'm sorry, you do not have a copy of his. So, Purdue warrant fees, we do have to pay Purdue for every one that they do collect on. Based on kind of the average of what Ashley thinks that we're gonna be able to do and talking to Dan Roma about what they're planning to do. Dan is part of the Purdue group over there on the north side of town. FTA fees, we do have to pay them back to the state, that's the omni-based fees. That's been the average, like, this year we only did like 2,000, we didn't do a lot, I did up it a little bit. A lot of the paperwork and stuff, I don't think was really being done 100% correctly, so that's kind of why I upped that with it a little bit. Postage in court, I know that looks really high, I've gone over that several times. They're telling me they're putting kind of 100 parcels to 200 parcels a week, and that's based upon what is supposed to now 67 cents. And based on 52 weeks. So I know that seems really high, but I also added a little bit more because we do certified mail a lot. Court supplies, that's not a large amount. We just have some little stuff that we need to do. We're getting a new card reader to keep here in the courtroom so the girls don't have to unplug and replug and all that stuff like that. Court training, Ashley is hoping, we will be getting a new person in to do, would like to send her at least to Court 1 training and Ashley eventually to Court 2 training. Municipal court fees, these are the fees that I have to pay back. So every time that we bring them in, we get paid, there's money that goes back to the state. So that's why that's a little bit higher based upon where we were last year. I've already paid in 205,000. These are quarterly fees that have to be paid back. Magistrate fees. I think Matt was going to talk to the magistrate to maybe, I don't know if she's gonna go up or down. I did go up a little bit on these fees because I think we may have to. Am I right? So,
I would imagine she'd want more, but our municipal court judge has some other ideas on maybe what he wants to do that we need to discuss for the magistration portion. But we'll see.
but that's where I've got that right now because there's still some stuff in question. $4,000 in miscellaneous expense that that's kind of my catch-all of stuff that may come in. Supplies for court, this is not a capital expense, this is more Post-it notes, pens, printer ink, stuff like that we have. Of course, we go through a lot of paper. Office port technology, that is an allocation percentage from Frontera that comes in for them to maintain and keep up with our system as long and within. Any questions on courts?
So the new CC, that's new, commissioner's court?
No, that's gonna be the CC is court clerk,
Court.
so, that's gonna be the new one. Remember Diane will be retiring October
So
31st.
then that's based on the previous salary and then the 5%
That is based, no, or that's not on Diane's previous salary, that's gonna be on the starter salary. Oh, it
But
could
I
be-
think, no, you got it built in here. with
Yeah,
Diane's.
you gotta increase the 5%.
Oh, I have Diane's in there?
Yeah, you have it built with her salary.
Oh, I did, okay, yeah.
I think at a certain point, just like you were mentioning about the training and flip-flopping, I think you would actually see a shift between them, right?
Well, you always have a potential that somebody applies to our municipal court and they're already certified as a court 1 or court 2.
All right, so my special spreadsheet, because I could build them, that dropped it to 137,000.
Okay.
So I'll have to refill that from 148,000 to 137,000 if I drop her to 60,000.
So go back to that.
The spreadsheet?
Yeah, go back to that. I would prefer that you actually kept it. I would probably put a cushion in there, just like Matt said, if we hire somebody that's already certified or, it gives you, I'd rather you have flexibility to build up. So, I would go ahead and do that.
Back to the 48.
Because it wouldn't, even if you hired somebody below, it wouldn't be fair that you had somebody, that is gonna be the head and they're getting paid the same as the other, right? So give yourself a little bit of flexibility so you can kind of play with the wages to go along with that, based on the certification.
Yes, sir.
Is your plan that if you hire a total newbie, that Ashley will take the lead there?
Yes, she'll be the lead court clerk. She's got a lot of experience now. She's really taking a liking to this. So really absorbing information, liking to go to the classes. And then she's going with the judge somewhere this weekend. Her and the judge are going somewhere up in Dallas to another seminar.
Good, good.
All right. Any questions on the court?
Council, you good? All right.
Okay.
There we go. PD?
This is the police budget. So Richie and I spent about, 3 hours together Saturday?
Seemed like longer than that.
Okay, 4 hours together Saturday.
No, that's something, the time went pretty quick. We both talk a lot.
Okay. This is kind of where we're standing with PD. Richie and I went over these numbers several times. I think this is where he's comfortable, but I will go ahead.
Now, we have more, the wild card we have is we have 2 police vehicles ordered, but now they're not supposed to be here. They're not gonna be built until September. So they will not be delivered to us till December, maybe January. What we were our intention was to, get finance them for 4 years. okay? And when you finance them, you don't pay your first payment until the 1 year mark. So if we deliver them in January, then they won't be due out of this, nothing will be due out of this year's budget. They'll be due out of the budget a year from now. So this time next year, we'll be figuring out budgeting a payment for them. The problem is interest rates have changed drastically since when we started with this process. So at this point in
It
time,
could actually be cheaper.
yeah, I mean, we
So
don't,
this is something Lago State Bank had already approved to do financing, and then we caught delays on the manufacturer that we're buying them from. So, once the time comes, we just go back to Lago State Bank and see if the rates are still good on what we want to do, and then come back before council.
but it could be the first of the year before we get to that point. And then if we go like the Lago State Bank and the other company, both of them do the same. You don't make a payment for a year. So it wouldn't affect this budget at all, even if we get the 2 brand new vehicles.
What are you getting, Tahoe?
Tahoe, yes, sir. That's pretty much, they're about, right now, them and the Fords are about the only thing in the game right this moment. You know, you just try to find what you can get and it changes. Very first, never been like this before ever until COVID hit with vehicles.
You try to get a Hyundai?
All I can tell you is they won't do Dodge anymore, so.
Oh, I mean, not a Charger.
Yeah, we won't do a Charger.
The pickups were wonderful. The Charger is possessed.
No more Chargers.
There's still one out there, right?
Yes, sir. Well, it's the only one.
It's the only one in. Yeah.
When it's gone, it's gone. That thing has been, that's too low to the ground, you know? Occasionally, we have council members that want us to get something because they think a car maybe gets better mileage than an SUV. But the problem is, you know, with the roads and the bar ditches, the cars are just too low to the ground. you
Yeah,
know?
I thought you got that car because you thought it was cool to have a fast car.
No, I didn't want a fast car. I can't even barely get in the thing.
That's all I remember. So, get a car to do the hot pursuits on, you know? And actually, the first few months, it actually spent time in the shop,
No, it's been a lot of time in
Was
the
it a
shop.
shop last week?
so,
I've had it, but I'm talking about like long term.
I know. It's possessed.
It is pristine. No doubt.
It is Christine, the old movie Christine, you know, one of those.
See, I'm gonna gift it to him.
Put it in a museum somewhere.
All right. Let's get back to this, so,
So there is no money really that comes in for revenue. I do book about $1,000 for the police officer's allocation. That is dedicated money that Richie gets in. I literally put it into a bank account that I legally have to, and then I transfer it out at the end of the year and put it back into his fund. So that's what that 1,000 is. And then, of course, he did have a little donations come in this year. That's very variable. Who knows what will happen next year with that. I did not budget any of that. And then he does have a PD account where it's about close to 8,000, so he gets a little bit of interest earned on that.
Now, what is that? Oh, that's the.
Yeah.
That's the finance, that's the peace officer allocation
Yes.
account. That's what you're talking about. Okay, gotcha.
And even actually about 100 in here. Wages and salaries for PD. This is where we're standing right now. Again, when you see that 911, that is everything. That is just not base wages. That is FICA, Fed, insurance, everything, even the matches that I have to send in and pay.
Now that also, the way you put the overtime in, what would you put about 15,000 for overtime or 12 or something?
Let's see.
And she basically, what's the word, basically she attached it to each officer, she just broke it down, attached it to 9 officers. So she'd have a way to calculate the FICA and retirement and all that. So that's not actually really assigned to that officer. It's just a way for bookkeeping, I guess. So because if you pay out 10,000 in overtime over the course of a year, then you,
I would rather overestimate for FICA than underestimate it, because if we do have the overtime in there, then it's going to show negative and we will have to do some adjustment at the end of the year. Not saying that he is going to use all this 12,000 in possible OT that we decided to put in here, but he may, I mean, we'll see
Well-
what they were.
And it's not, it's also, if you have a guy who quits during the middle of the year and you owe him 2 weeks vacation, he's, you know, you got, that would come out of that, you know. Of course, if that happened, it'd free up money in another, you know, but in general, that's what that is. It's for that, it's for emergency vacation pay, it's for overage of vacation pay if they go over at the end of the year and they have to pay them by policy. So it's really, it's a lot. When fully staffed, traditionally, we have very little overtime. But, you know, so that's the key, is getting fully staffed.
And another thing you're gonna see that I didn't do last year that did affect my numbers when I'm trying to close was the incentive pay. I didn't take that into account last year. So Richie and I sat down and figured every employee that would have possible incentive pay coming in, because that would be subject to retirement bucket.
And that is what they did for, if a couple officers have college degrees, and then they're basic on their license levels, they get, you know, most you get, if you have a bachelor's degree and a master peace officer, it's like 2,100 more a year. So this smaller numbers, but we've got it pretty much down to the penny, how that would come out now.
So that 20,000 in there is not set in stone, but a possibility. All the police officers get a cell phone allowance. We do figure in the yearly bonuses with that, and then of course the health FICA and retirement is figured. So that's where those numbers are coming. Any questions on the revenues of the salaries?
Council, anything? You all good?
Now, before we continue, I'd want to comment. So for years, we had certain line items called certain things, and I could never get them changed to where you really made sense what they were. So that's what took us so long, because we had some line items that ended up having like $25,000 in it, and it really was for 10 different things. So we went through and renamed stuff to where the average person could look at the budget and know where something's supposed to go. You wouldn't need to have, you know, basic knowledge and say, okay, this is that. So it took a while, but Lynette created, we eliminated some items that were, you know, we had some things that said maintenance, systems and equipment, and then we had maintenance, system and equipment building or different. And so when you're in there trying to code stuff, it's the exact, you know, it's very easy to get confused. So Lynette created, what, about probably 10 different items. Plus we were able to see where some items had a whole lot of money in there that we weren't even using, because we didn't even know everything was being coded somewhere else.
And Richie, you bring up a good point. So for council, just so you make awareness, there's been a lot of work between Matt and Lynette trying to readjust and get things lined up correctly. It does take a couple of years for us to be able to get some sort of rhythm so we can go back and look and say, this is what we usually average. Some of these line items, because they separate them and readjusted them, we don't have back data, but we have an idea, but we kind of move things around. Now we're gonna have a lot better way to be able to project. So as we go into the future years with budget, it's gonna be a lot easier, a lot more oranges with oranges and apples with apples. So it's gonna work out a lot better.
And plus, if you hire a staff member and if you hire a new police chief next year and you show them that budget, you're like, what is this? Where does this go? How do I know what this even is? So now with what Lynette did, you know, you can come in there and look real quick and see where stuff, you know, you got a good idea where something goes. And this way also, in the upside to me is, one, I can look and know a better idea of exactly where we're at. But the upside to the council or the administration is you can hold me responsible a little better if it's a little more detailed. Because when it's all thrown together, I can say, well, I don't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. So it's really, I think, been a good, I left here very pleased with the fact that we had a more, and this was our first shot at doing that. So, but I was very pleased with the fact that we were able to bring the expenses down quite a bit by simply looking at some of these items that didn't amount to nothing. They were just numbers.
And it's a lot easier for Rosario too, because she's not in these meetings all the time. she gets the invoice and then she does her best for coding it, and then, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So,
Thank you, Rosario. Appreciate it very much. All right, let's go ahead and move on and look into Parks and Rec stuff.
So, we do have money that comes in on parks, but I have it under community events more, so, I may change that. It just, occurred to me that I may do that. But right now, let's look at the salary and wages, but in general, parks and wages, I mean, parks and, is a service for the city. But we do pavilion rentals, what else do we have? The gazebo, yeah, so I may split that out for another year to give it more time. But I'll show you in a little bit. So the total that was gonna be for 2 parks employees, that came out to 81,000. Well, what was it, parks and a half, so I have 1.5, because we're gonna split it out. That's how I came up with that number, with Wayne, and then of course, 1 part-time employee, which you can see on the screen. That's, I came up with 81,000. Then I have a real short expense breakdown for workers' comp, professional fees, consulting for the park engineer, there's stuff in here that I'm really not, we're not gonna budget too high for. We did take the sidewalk cost to here for consulting engineer. I need to talk to Matt to see how we want to capture that in the future, but that's where you see that 24,000 listed. Otherwise, else I did take in consideration of y'all asking about putting new park equipment out in coal mine. That is where that 20,000 there for repairs and maintenance, use of the swings, stuff like that. We are budgeting for that. But otherwise, that's just the minimal of what we use for the park operations.
The one thing I see we missed on it is, the Little League's request for maybe a storage building. We need to look at that, but that's, I think it was 17,000 or something.
Yeah.
That's what they had on
Yeah,
it.
if you could please,
Yeah, we'll look at that.
How much do you want to put in it?
It was, do 17,000, it was somewhere.
Is it gonna be something like Chief just bought?
Something, I don't know, they gave me some numbers on some stuff. So I think it was 17,000. For some reason that number says, it was either 15 or 17, but shoot, 17. I think that's what it was.
thank you.
Change. If y'all see something, I can change it as we go. This is- All right, so, the streets budget, again,
Okay, so now we're moving to streets.
do you have any questions on the park?
Parks and Recs, anything? Everything good?
Can't believe we're spending 148,000 on parks.
128,001.
That's budget for parks. No, let's go ahead. The street.
Well, that's including the salaries.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to do it.
So, the streets, the 969,000 is considered for the sidewalk project that comes from the bond. That's the transfer in on that.
Hold on, we've already paid our portion out of the bond for the sidewalks. Oh, this is streets, oh, okay, I know that's street paving, but it should be 969. It should only be 400, whatever it was,
What is that?
for the street paving. That's really the only thing left in the bond. Them and then some engineering fees, well, no, those should be pretty much done too. Maybe a little bit.
For the capital, for the sidewalk, we put in 985,000, you see it on
Okay,
there.
we've already paid, the 383's already been paid. That's already,
Engineering fees are 21,000.
some of that's been paid already.
Some of it.
Yeah, not all of it, but I think the majority of it's been paid. We can go back. I thought we found some of that already. Then,
And then I've got a pending invoice for the asphalt.
asphalt paving, yeah, that's the one we're still gonna pay.
Right.
That's our biggest carryover right there.
Yeah.
So it won't be the 969. I know that's way too high. that meeting fix this right there on the budget, we're probably 300,000 over on that right there alone.
We still do fogging? Pest control and fogging, we still do
Yes.
fogging?
Yes, that's under streets.
Alright. Okay, so, I fixed that, and I did the transfer over of the 594, said that was overstated. Let's go down, and that is the half portion of the salaries, which we've already talked about. And then go a little bit farther down, you see all the expenses for that department. Y'all see anything that stands out to you that you have questions for?
What we're doing is you're gonna see internally, we're moving some stuff. So streets is really a public works function. So we're moving that back. Before parks and streets were mixed. So we're putting that back in James's court and assigning one of his lower end guys, that's a lower end salary into streets department.
And we already have a job description.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes parks stand out, so, because it wasn't done before.
Yeah, it was mixed with streets and it was
Yeah.
really weird and it was
Yeah.
confusing. So parks is gonna have their own and now James is gonna have a true
I
picture
think
of
this is great. Thank
public works on what all he
you.
has.
I think it's great.
I do want to go back and just go back and look, it's still the numbers for the transfer of operations, for the revenue coming in for that, for the streets. Relook at that. Let's take the time and look at it. For some reason, I think, because we switched it to 500 and something, but I think it might be higher than that for some reason.
So this is the reconciliation I did for that, it's on the thing. We dedicated 985,000,
I can tell you for a fact, we've already paid the 383,710 to the
Yes.
state.
yes.
We've paid a portion already to TRC, probably the majority of it, because that's where they drew up the plans for street paving. They'll still have some left in that 21,000, how much exactly, I don't know, go back to their invoices tomorrow and look. And then the 594, I would be comfortable saying we have roughly 600,000 left to spend there,
Yeah.
maybe 6,
So this is from the capital improvement.
Yeah. from the 8.5 million total.
But didn't we have some money left over before that was supposed to carry over for the streets
From where?
from last year?
No, we're still in the year. We're
No,
doing,
it's from the previous year, no? We didn't have, for some reason, I thought we had like 100 grand.
no, we spent everything. Street paving, we did,
I didn't have-
200 and some odd thousand street paving, which had a big carryover from the year before that for street paving that we did. This year, the 50,000 we had street paving, we're kind of still have that earmark for the County Road 6842 project where we bought $4,000 worth already of milling. We'll have to bring equipment and stuff like that to finish that stuff.
That's like, it's just in my head, I was just, for some reason, I thought we still had some money that was carried
I'm
over.
comfortable if we show 6 to 610 left instead of the full 985. We can verify, they can verify the numbers this week, but
So out of that, you're saying out of that 985, we have 600,000 left?
we've expensed everything else already.
But all those three right there add up to 999,000.
Just take a look at it.
We can get
Just-
it.
Just take a look at it and look at it from the revenue and then, the expense portion of it.
Yes.
And just balance it out, but just take a look, see if we did have any money that was left over from last year. That might have been there, in a different.
You mean the year previous to the one we're in now?
That's correct.
We didn't do any carryover.
No. I don't think we did, we
Yeah,
expensed it all.
so we had transfers in from general fund bank account because it was, yeah, that was two.
Right? Yeah, okay, that's right. All right,
All right, so, right now we're sitting at, y'all have any questions here about this? And there's, this is looking at 50,000 for the drainage project.
Now, what you won't see there as an income potentially is if we can get the stormwater utility fund adopted and start collecting on that. So,
But that goes into an earmarked account, right?
that goes into stormwater, utility, drainage, streets. You can use it for all. You can pay salaries out of it.
Right.
Or you can earmark it, and if you want, and just set off, we're gonna use a portion to pay salaries, get equipment, keep that running, and a portion we're gonna throw in the piggy bank for a large project later on.
Like Benton City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you go out and get certificates of obligation and leverage what you're bringing in over here to make that payment.
Where's the-
And then another questionable item I had on there, I know we're gonna be doing more street lighting. Right now, we're at 37,000. I did increase it to 50,000. I don't have a total on street lighting that's gonna be coming in. I'm still waiting on this number.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
So, community center, do y'all have any questions on streets at all? On how I came up with those numbers?
Anything else? All right, we good?
So rental fees, actually, this is where I was talking about, rental fees kind of loops everything together, that's including the pavilion and the park. So I would have to go in and break all that out to kind of figure out what's what. But we're currently at 27,185, I consider that is the community center, the annex, and any park rental. So, that's not complete community center, it kind of occurred to me when we were going through this. So now, I've got it booked at 40. Matt has decided, that, we were talking the other day, going ahead with the Warnerna CD, and using that for the repairs and maintenance, or the, not maintenance, of capital improvements that we need over at the, community center.
That would be the foundation.
Yes,
Maybe
so
start.
you'll see, we can start working with TRC because it's gonna be to the threshold, we have to use an engineer, but, which hurts us, but.
Foundation, floor, well, we gotta do the foundation first, but a few other things in there to bring it up to speed.
So we may do a couple things where we get the overall concept of what we wanna do, and then let them price it out, and we determine based off numbers what we can do.
And the rentals are up on that, right, since we came out with a new
Our
scale.
rental,
way up.
yeah, our rentals are up 3 times to what they used to be since we've, they went up.
Yes.
So, it's still a majority of locals that come in. We have some, but I wouldn't say a lot of people when you're booking the money. It's mostly locals, so. There's a few outside that come in.
And of course, we're hosting some community outreach events too, that has been a huge success too, so that's worked out really good for us.
Down below, I did budget some money in there. This is Apollo money, so you don't have to go to her. 25,000, she wants to do Christmas tree. I do. She wants to do Christmas.
So we do need to,
I
we're gonna do it
haven't-
in phases, council, we need to start replacing areas, we can't do all Main Street and everything at one time, but we need to start one area, build it up next year, the next area, just do it in phases, and it'll take us a few years, but, start changing our decorations that have been with us for a long period of time, so.
So quality versus quantity.
Yes, yeah. It's not about the number, and it's easy to put some really nice, and there's some nice ones that are out there, and make it real easy. And make it easier for our
Public
Parks.
works and parks
public
and everything.
works that help us out, being able to put it out.
Yeah.
So we can get one or two that are big and they're, sparkly and do everything instead of putting 6 or 7 out there, that's a big win.
No, it takes public works
How
almost
many
a
did
month.
you say?
20?
20. Be able to do that, so this is good, we need to do that.
I did budget in the senior events based upon quarterlies that Paul will be having over there. Repairs and maintenance, that's an offset to the 159,000 in the CD that we will be cashing out towards the capital repairs over there. The 59,000 is the engineering piece.
We talked about taking the repairs and maintenance down to 100,000. That way the full 159 CD would cover repairs and engineering fees, is what we're looking at. If we have extra, we can always throw more, but realistically, that's what we need to, I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but we're just throwing them out.
I just changed it.
Yeah, perfect.
See what it
So
looks
that's the number on the CD, the actual number?
The actual, the value of it is 150. Matter of fact, it'll be on the next agenda for renewal.
like. Repairs and maintenance monthly cost, that it can be anything from janitorial to, what else Yeah, AC, cleaning the vents, anything like that that can be just regular kind of maintenance. Same thing with the annex building. Workers' comp liability, we do have to carry something a little bit over there, which we really didn't have before. So the new TML insurance guy is really making sure that we have everything that we need for the events over there. Museum expense, that is, I got that down to 1,000. Y'all, I'm gonna let the council make up their mind on what they wanna do with that.
Is that for the Gidley House? Is that what it is?
That,
What have we used money in the last few years? Can you speak?
For the museum expenses, normally, when I looked at it, is CPS. And when it is not being used, it's maybe 20 or 30,000 a month. And to the most is what we pay, 400 or 500 for Christmas when we have all the Christmas budget.
the only thing we've done over there this year is, the bench. I don't know if y'all been by there, but the bench is up. Matter of fact, we'll get some crushed granite tomorrow. They're gonna finish out the project. That's really it.
But if there's more stuff you want to do over there, just, please.
I think our priority is over at the community center. We got to take care of it.
I think realistically, before we go putting a lot of money into that building, we probably all need to go take a look at the building yourself, get your eyes on it, and then have an inspection done to see if it's, I hate to say worth saving, but it's not in the greatest of shape.
So that reminds me, do we capture somewhere, we bought that new property, or that other property?
That's gonna be an asset, so it won't be on the road there.
No, but is there anything that we need to worry about expenses for that?
It's just the.
No, just the general, just the lawn maintenance
Okay.
covered,
It
which,
just came to mind
Yeah.
to see if there was anything.
we're not adding power or anything over there. I think it's gonna be a good storage location
So
for
the
us.
next one down, that one, phone and utilities, are we talking about internet and utilities?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And
can we
then-
change that to internet instead of phone?
We can,
That's come in handy for us.
How did that work out?
It's worked out really good. The only thing right now is just the room gets really hot, so it's locked
We need
up.
to, I'll get with Public Works, see if we can't cut a couple holes, one high, one low with vents, I guess, maybe we, I don't know.
We'll try to figure out something, but
Or what-
it's working out really
Revamp
good,
it.
and when we bring in our folks for outreach programs, which is multiple agencies, even the folks, when they came out, and did the haircuts, and we had the folks with the insurance and a few other
Yeah,
people in there, and I'll get a chance, Matt did a great job of posting the code up there, so people can go ahead and go into the public.
we have a dedicated rooms that you're talking about, Stephen.
There's a room where they put the equipment in.
Right.
Yeah, in there, so,
Pretty small.
yeah, but
Closet bed.
it's a closet, basically, but it's been working out, we just need to kind of monitor it just for the heat in there and stuff, but it's worked out really good.
So, I'm getting out of this, but is Rise here already?
Not yet, they're currently installing.
Okay. So
Five,
we
we got
tried,
the
we
whole-
tried to reach out to them, they said they wouldn't do us. So we went ahead and got the other one from Castroville.
You should have Rise close to you very soon.
Yeah, just hang in there, we got them, and I've heard also about Spectrum.
Spectrum's gonna be installing.
Spectrum building out too. We haven't, we got an indication, but I can tell you Rise is coming. That one is done. pretty
They've
much.
already got locates in, they're working in town. They're starting out in Twin Lakes and
They
pushing.
say they're here, publicly, they're announcing it, they're here already.
So they're here, line of sight antenna. So this is when an antenna, like a dish, and it pointed to another, it's called line of sight antenna. What they're doing with this one, this is fiber, it's through the ground, so actually getting connected. Now, they're not gonna go out to the house unless the resident says, they're gonna go along the side, but the resident says, I want fiber, then they'll push it in. So that's how they're gonna minimize some of their expenses, but you'll actually have fiber going right in front of your house or somewhere around your house. So if you want it, you can obtain it.
We'll know what to do.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And hopefully the costs are the same that they were quoting us, because honestly, fiber, the cost that they were telling us was even cheaper than line of sight. And it's
Find
faster,
out.
I think they've already got it published on their website.
right? So it'll be good, it'll be a good thing. This is a huge win for Lima, huge win. So it's a good thing. A lot of involvement, Matt involved heavily, a lot of coordination, a lot of help from folks in Medina County too, just to kind of work things out. So this is a huge win for us and for our kids too. So, they're gonna go into coal mine, they're gonna go everywhere, everywhere.
So we can actually watch a movie without recycling.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
Did you see that movie? Oh, I'm still watching it.
Let it, go ahead and do that. It's a good question, but we're gonna get there, Richard, we're gonna get there.
Oh,
Yeah, this is gonna be a good thing for us, it'll be good for our families too.
All right, so the next one is janitorial. When I say that kind of expense, Paula keeps janitorial supplies for our cleaners. The bleach, Bugmo, so everything that she does. The cost has kind of went up, but I went ahead and kept it where it was at. We have used 2,000 so far. The reason I think that we are at that is because we're having so much more activity. And then refunds. This is a line item I put out there for the girls. When they do a deposit for the center, they are refunded a certain amount once it's confirmed that everything is fine, nothing's torn up. Rich will say, it's good or whatever. Then we give them the money back. So that's kind of an offset to the income of them. Any
Yeah.
questions?
The only thing I think we need to get, and I just thought about it now, is the new roundtables. I don't know how much. We need to think about that, how much we can put in there for new equipment or something, I don't know.
Round, and we probably need 10 of the square, or the rectangular.
We can give it James and
We
see how
need,
many
we
we
need to
got.
replace 10, I counted 10 last time, that they're either starting to crack, or they're already cracked on the edges. So we need to.
We go through and look at that and see how
We
many
need
new
to get
tables
about
we need
10
to
of the
buy.
rectangular ones,
So
so
I got a question. We just question, I don't know what the expense will be, but.
we'll be good. And
Any
if you
other-
can, be practical yet, let's see if you're doing the supplies and stuff over there, see if we can get a cabinet where we have a key, where we have access, so whenever we're hosting an event and we need to clean up, that we can have access to stuff over
Yeah,
there.
police department as well for security. When we're up there, we're working, sometimes we need, something happens, we need access to be able to.
There you go.
We gotta be able to put extra bags out for people renting and everything.
Yes,
That's part of it.
and cleaning supplies and stuff like that, in case something happens, we have access, we can get a key to PD and,
If we're there, that's make it a little easier.
we'll be good. All right, thank you. Any questions on that one? All right. Let's see, where are we at right now? Oh, it is 8:00. Wow, we're just having way too much fun. So, all right, let's go ahead, we're at 8:00 right now. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break and we'll come back. So if you can go ahead and show us at 8:00, 8:02 PM, we're gonna go ahead and take a break right now. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and show, Paula, if you can go ahead and show us back from the break. It's 8:17. Good break. Good break. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right back into it. And were we at the library now? The library budget?
Yes.
Okay. So there we go.
All right. No, wait, Cassandra's here. She did see the numbers, we're looking at revenue at 7,400. A lot of that for donations and stuff that they get in. I did that again based on average. Salary and wages is gonna go back to the long sheet that you have. That's how it's based on. It's 3 different people that are at the library, 2 full-time, 1 part-time. So the expenses for the library, you can see below, anything from janitorial, office supplies, materials, books. Her largest expense is usually books. She buys them off of Amazon a lot and stocks. Last year I budgeted about 12,000 or 20,000, 22,000. She didn't use all of them.
Can we go back to salaries real quick? For the 2 besides Cassandra, we need to fix their wages to bring them up to what we're looking at for all the other people, to the minimum of 15 an hour, to take them up to 31.2. It wouldn't be fair to move everybody else's, for saying the new minimum wage and then not move theirs.
All right, so Norma,
Yeah,
That's 2
so-
full-time.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
those go to
you can do one
31.2.
time.
both of them?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, you have to do that.
31.2, 31.2, and then take the 5% increase off, because they would get the 31.2 versus the 31.2 more than the 5%. That should fix that for me.
That is going to be 170,000 instead, in total, instead of 150. Oh, yeah, that's right, we moved it up, not down. So we're gonna move that to 170. I'll have to reallocate all those, so. So let's look through the expenses. Is there any questions y'all have in there? And the only reason I put the 10,000 in there for capital improvements, she's been having a lot of problems with her air conditioning. It's locking up a lot. Mr. Bendelly has been over there working on it, and I'm just cushioning in case she does need a new air conditioner.
Doesn't she have like an alarm system over there?
She does, that goes to the miscellaneous expense, we just keep it there. It runs right at $94 a month.
Is that something we really need to keep, realistically? It is the only facility in entire city that has an alarm. Have you ever had calls on it, Chief?
No, because they call her directly, which makes no sense anyway, because she doesn't need to be going over in the middle of the night checking on alarm.
Can you guys have a conversation with her? I don't know if we're required to.
No.
I don't know if it's
There is no
some
requirement.
sort of library.
Like I said, we protect the library more than we protect City Hall. City Hall has different things in it than books for the library. You know, I'm just thinking out loud.
I mean, she's got computers in there, she does have some kind of assets that it could be stolen, iPads.
But that's every city facility.
But if she does that, we need to, when the alarm goes off, it needs to go to the dispatch, so we can send an officer over. Cause it's not gonna do any good if the alarm goes off. I mean, by the time she gets up and comes over there, they're gonna be gone. So that's the only thing, we chatted about that, before.
I'll work with her on it. We'll chat offline for that.
That's just what I got. I mean, like I said, I agree. If we do keep it, I think the call should come to the dispatch.
Actually, I think Rosario and I started taking that to utilities. That's where we started taking that. No, we were taking that call. Any other questions?
Do we have, on the revenue, we don't show anything in there. Didn't we have some money coming in from Atascosa or anybody else?
I have not confirmed the use of
No.
200 a year. That was a very odd transaction that was put in the system. It literally goes in and goes right back out.
No, okay, so when I talked to Cassandra, no. The way Anacostia County works is she requests something from them and sends them the invoice, and they pay for it. We never see the money. It never runs through our bank, so we don't need to account for it.
They were booking it, but they didn't.
Yeah,
I
We
couldn't-
never got it.
I couldn't find that. It was never put in the bank.
That's why in the current year we're in, we took that out as an income, because it's not really an income we show. Or that we get, that we can show in the books and then expense.
Do we track, how would we track the asset though?
No, it's an Anacostia County asset.
So it's,
Otherwise, if it's a donation to the city,
Right.
that needs to come to the city.
And that's
Not-
what in the past have we bought with that stuff?
You have to ask Cassandra. That's something she does do, their library in the county that
I
they
know that
purchase.
you probably use it, but I'm just wondering if it's, if it's books or, what is that money used for? See what I'm saying?
I think it's mostly books,
Books.
but
So-
it's not
so
money
she
I
gets-
ever had in hand.
So she gets help from the county for the books, and then we're also, how much have we used this year?
So
8,000?
this year, our totals are 7,026. I don't want to set her too high. I think she's doing a little bit better than she did last year. What are we booking? I want to say maybe, what did I put on the financials? 150 a month is what she's getting donations. So, she's doing good.
No, it's good,
I
just,
remember a conversation we had, her, late fees were up a lot on people not charging the
good. All right,
Any other questions?
council? Okay. You're good.
150 is animal control, Santi. Santi and I went over this.
Can we go to salaries under Melinda and fix hers to the 31.2 as well?
So he feels that he can run these revenue amounts this year. He's doing really good with the fees that are coming in. We've had to talk for quite some time, so he feels comfortable with this. So they do want to have 2 or 3 money-making events this coming year that they're planning, so hopefully it more than needs.
I'm sorry, I thought we already fixed expenses on that, I'm sorry.
Fine. Okay, let's go ahead with salaries. Do you need to adjust?
So do they get, they actually get pretty good donations come into
They've been getting about 300 a month right now.
300 a month?
A lot of the adoptions have increased a lot, and we're getting a lot of the adoption fees into, he's booking anywhere from 100, every other day, to even more. I think, run like 300. So it's very. Let me switch something.
Council, while we're doing that, just so you know, they continue to work on with that organization that provides some spade and neutering. So they use that as a way to go ahead and offset some of the opportunities for people to adopt dogs.
Unless, we need to look, if the 5% would give her more, that's what would be dealt with. I don't know which way it would work. Just highlight her so we can look at it. For some reason, I think the 31.2 greater minimum wage.
So we have 2 new hires, of course, in salaries. That's why you're seeing a little bit of a, not really an increase, not really an increase, because they're just the replacement. So
Yeah.
we'll take
When
that
are they
back.
starting?
One came in today to get all her paperwork. She's gonna bring it back tomorrow, and I'm not sure about the other one. So hopefully this week.
I'm gonna give you those 2 packets, so we can mark them on.
You still have to do the background on them, or that's
Already
already done?
All right,
Okay.
you're good to go.
Good.
Starting very shortly. Do you see any cost? Nothing is really big in here for Santi. The only thing that he wanted is that he wants to have some, the bigger industrial size exhaust fans in the back. He wants to have those put in to help with airflow in the back.
Did we ever get the amount for that?
Yes, so, the big ones that we looked at, we priced out were anywhere between 300 to 800 for the nice ones. And he wanted 3 of them, so that's why I had put into the capital improvement for 3,000. That wasn't including installation, but, and I didn't ask him about electrical wiring back there and what he had. But, that was his only wish was for what he had back there. And what he wanted.
So just fans, that's all he's requesting? That's it?
He wants some he wants a smaller industrial fan in the cattery to help with the airflow in the front. And he wants, 2 in the back that will be going from, what is it, I guess, north to south, I guess that way, that's what that might be, to help with the airflow coming through there.
Keeping in mind what Mr. Deere said in the last workshop about the AC system and how that affects the airflow will be affected by that.
Yeah, make sure we're not exhausting all the cold air as the AC runs 3 times as much.
Sanjay and I talked about that, that's the reason he wants it in the cattery, so he can close the door to the cattery, because the cattery is different. So then the air conditioning would just be going in this one small area, and then the back, of course, is closed, where it would just blow air and help. Oh, and he did want a new power washer, like an industrial, not the one like from that he has now, which is, not really strong, to really do some more deep cleaning in the back there correctly.
Did he think it would come with the windows and bathrooms?
The windows at Animal Control, he was supposed to give me a price on that because he wanted to be able to open them and he needed somebody to come out and look. I asked him the other day what the frame's made out of, if it's steel or wood, and he couldn't answer these questions yet, so I still.
Oh, wood out there, if I remember
He
right.
said it's
Yeah,
wood.
it's all wood.
It's all
He said
wood.
I
They'll just have to
I
refresh
don't
that.
know, yeah, I don't know if it's still permanent or wood, so, yeah, because he wants to be able to close it, but then if we have that, that's, my thought was, is we're gonna have to put bars on it, or something to keep people from breaking it.
Can
Can
you just push the capital improvements to 5, put it back to 5
Okay,
instead of 3?
sure.
Because I'm still thinking, you still need the labor, especially if you get the good fans, and then you're gonna have to run the electrical.
See, I don't know, that's what I was thinking, I don't know what's back there.
We might as well give ourselves a little bit of flexibility on there to take care of that. Be able to do that work,
Okay,
so.
any other questions?
Council? Not cheap running the city, isn't it?
Not cheap running animal control.
There's a lot of stuff going on, All right, so what do we got next? This is,
The next one over is debt service, that really is nothing to really, that's my numbers that I have to keep for government and keep for legal. The first bond that we have out that comes out a year is $104,000. That's what comes out of our pocket that we have to pay. For the new people that are here, we have 2 separate bonds. We have a certificate of obligation from 2012 that was renewed for $1 million. And then we have a certificate of obligation that we got last year for $8.5 million. And I have to keep those separated in 2 separate debt service funds. So the 300 is the million. We pay, principal paid $92,834 a year, interest paid $11,718. One is paid in January and the interest is paid in July. You go to the next one, the 400, that's the 8.5 million. It's the same, scenario as I just told you. The principal that will be due for the next year is $417,793.75. The interest will be $167,893.50 for a total of $558,687. You can see the payments that we have already initiated this year, the $491 and the $172, which have been paid. You can go ahead and go over to 6, which is water. Fund 600 is water, and that is James behind me, Duncan. Okay, so dedicated bond fees, we actually had, as per my numbers that I can find, we have not spent any of that yet. that has been carried over into that account.
We need to look at that. We've probably spent some for TRC alone.
There was one invoice that,
That we could find for water.
that her and I were looking at today, and I had asked James, but it said booster pump. But if it is, then we've got 42,000, I may have to reclass something, but that's the only one that I can see that would go in there, and I'm not 100%.
I mean, I'll email
I
Scott
needed-
tomorrow, I'll have to break them all down
Yeah,
for us.
I needed to ask Matt when he comes back. So anyway, that 616, or 6,115,000 is still part of the bond payment. That's not actually the revenue in, it's revenue we already have, that's gonna be a carryover. Water service fees. Played with this over the weekend. If you go to that next sheet, I'm gonna tell you how I did it. Just flip it over one. Based on 7-month average, and
I
that,
think.
I'll flip it over to 2.
Go 2 pages
Two
down, and in your packet, go to 2 pages, and it's actually up and down. So
More budget.
it looks like this. Okay,
this is how I'm formatting the numbers for this. I took a 7-month average of our new cost. We did change the rates as of last year, but I wanted a cold month all the way to what we have in the heat month. So based upon the 7-month average, we brought in 527,000. If I break that down, 75,000 a month, okay? That gives us a billing of 4921. Our lowest billing we can have based on the 3,000 gallons is $30 a month. It can go all the way up to who knows what, depending on how much water they use. But the average that we bring is $49.21 per 100 or 1,530 service units, service addresses. This is something I wanted to talk to Matt about too. Last week was extremely hectic. I don't know how much we want to estimate on houses for this coming year. I took it to 1,700.
But that would be a full year's worth of
How many homes should we base an average on? So if we have 1,530 homes right now, what should we base the homes on for the new year? For money coming in?
so you're saying 1,700
by October 1.
I'm not saying October 1, I'm talking like an average, because then I took a curve for that. Say in the middle of next year, say halfway through, how many homes are we gonna have?
and then
You could
Rosewood.
potentially get 1,700 by the middle of next year,
Do you think?
or 15, I mean,
So based on that, this is
I
how
don't know.
my mind thought.
how
If,
would it work?
if we take 1,700 homes, looking at Matt's numbers that we had put on the review that we did last month, it came out to 83,000 per. At a million, at a billable rate, or a billable year of $1 million altogether, at 4921. If I take a rate curve, any of you take a lot of math, understand what I'm talking about here, but if I curve it down to 4550, and not that 4921, to capture the variances that could come about if we don't hit that 1,700, that's how I came out to that 928. And I'm very much open to discussion on this, how to figure this.
I mean, the amount of homes, I think we could be there, if you're looking at the middle of next year, without a doubt, on there.
Okay?
So let me interject this
How do I figure my curve?
real quick, before trying to get into all that crazy math that she understands. I can tell you right now, TRWA, we're gonna finish up our utility rate study, and based just off the general numbers they've seen, we've been giving away about 40% of our water. So we're gonna be able, if we can capture 20% of that, that's gonna bring our utility goes up. He's already looking at it, there's a chance that we're gonna have to look at utilities and increase the rates, but they're trying to figure out where's that tier we need to raise. Is it all of our water's going to the lowest tiered users? Probably not. It's probably those middle tiered users, and that's where we need to increase our rate, is at those people, potentially. But we're gonna get a study.
But this is actually lowball compared to what the study might reveal.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think,
So
Makes me
we're,
nervous, but I
so
think
these
this
are
is doable.
conservative, these are conservative based on what, once we get the study.
if you look at where we are today and what we budget, I think it's doable.
So I went into the system on Saturday and pulled probably, I would say, maybe 10 random houses, mostly the new homes that are watering their yards and this. And then I pulled some of the ones that had swimming pools through on here. Swimming pools could be anywhere from 300. The average house, say over in, like Wilsonville, I think the Saddle Ridge, right, Saddle Ridge, is around $48 to $50 is where it came out to. For water alone. So that's where I kind of came up with the curve on the average, saying that, but I still, I can't give a trying to figure out a number exactly where we need to be to budget for revenue.
It's a conservative number.
I think it is.
45.5.
I think the only thing we need to take into account
But
is
if
let's,
they go up on the rates, and then talking to the person that Matt was talking about earlier, we're giving a lot of water away.
Right.
Yeah,
we
but
need to
we're
look at
just gonna go up,
construction.
Right?
Right.
How much have we spent, like Anderson Columbia's been here for over a year, taking water and buying water first from construction, and then Saddle Ridge has been the same way. The other two potentially aren't because they're using the wells and their own water rights. So maybe in the curve, we can go in there and take them out and not estimate any type of construction usage of water.
Well,
Maybe-
this doesn't include the construction. This is just usage.
This is a residential.
Just rather you,
Yeah.
That was only,
But
I
you're
didn't
not-
take any business.
well, if we're not calculating business, then we're way low.
Yeah, so we're,
If this doesn't calculate any commercial whatsoever,
No,
this
no, no,
is,
I mean, this is total, this is still the total of what we would do, but when I did the rate reduction on that, it was based upon residential, and I didn't look at commercials to put in that, percentage factor for that. Our last year total with commercial, we billed 795,000, we still have 2 months to go. We're short 97,000 for the next 3 months, of course, we're gonna hit that. 928, I mean, we're billing anywhere between 60,000 to 70, or 80,000 depending.
I
I
think
take
it's-
that back, we did 90,000 last month on water.
I think you're good, honestly.
You wanna leave it there at the 928?
Council? You guys are
I
okay?
think we leave it there until we get the rate study, and we'll know more. Maybe we get it done, well, I'm pushing them, hopefully they come in the next few weeks, and we can get it done before we adopt the budget with rates.
You got, you good?
I really feel we're gonna have to go up again.
Oh, I understand that, but in a sense of just using it for the budget purposes, I think we're conservative enough where we give ourselves, all that's gonna happen is gonna go higher, so it gives us a cushion, a big cushion probably, to be able to do that. We're not overestimating, so we won't be shortfall at the end. You know,
So if this is a low ball and we get the new numbers in, we still have time to adjust that, right? When are you expecting that rate study done?
We're waiting on them, we gave them everything they wanted, but the guy we were dealing with moved divisions, so we got handed off to another guy, I've emailed him, and told him we're ready, as soon as you can get down here, let's go, and haven't heard back yet.
You think it'll be done before the budget cycle's over?
I told him we'd really like to have it done before then, so when we adopt our budget, we can adopt our rate structure as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could adopt the rate structure a month or two after the budget potentially.
So that's kind of how I came up with that. I know it's a little complicated, I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to take all the factors in. Impact fees I'm taking that based upon what we're doing this year. So, and that is, of course, is coming to be home build, and that's based on the permits and stuff that Paula and Matt are talking about in their monthly updates. Why is it happening? Okay. So that's why I put 120,000 in there. Capping fees, I'm doing the same thing, I'm averaging out based upon what Paula has coming in and what I'm seeing on permits from Rosario. Water acquisition fees, exact same thing, those are new houses coming in, that's money that goes into another account that we have, based on average and the permits that are sitting there. So a lot of my formulas are based upon the averages. Meter sales, exact same thing. I will say we've had an increase in late charges. Unless the majority of the residents here are the late fee will be assessed as of the 10th, unless you are a senior, which you have to the 20th to pay, but we have been getting a whole lot more late fees than we did last year.
That was only going to go through September, right?
Excuse me.
Wasn't that only gonna be through September? Right?
And the service charges are part of the credit card fees, that's actually a wash. But it has to go in there, I have to account for it. Salary and wages, this is,
James Robert, and then two open.
yeah, and the two open positions.
Those are the two new ones we talked about adding.
So, a total of four,
Out of water here.
yeah, four out of one.
Two brand new positions that did nothing but install radio read meters, potentially, is what we talked about.
So that's kind of,
Does the 52,000, Matt, does that include if Robbie completes his certification?
I need to look and see what his hourly rate is now, and see if that's his current. Or if when we built it, I think when we were building this, we built it with that in mind. I think, don't swear me to that, but we'll check it.
He's in his young twenties, he's over 20.
Yeah, I think that's built,
he's 25 at that, he's 25 at the 52, that's 25 an hour.
well, maybe so.
Yeah, just to make sure.
We'll look at it.
Yeah, because he's pretty close to getting it done, right?
Test on the 15th.
18.
Oh, maybe it's 18th. Yeah.
Okay.
But we've got the other open position, one of the open positions budgeted high anyways. An extra 10,000 there, so that could cover if those people come in without a license, they're just general laborers or something.
Your expenses in there, your typical, is, the workers' comp, all of the loans, and some fees. There. Consulting and legal fees, we did put a little bit more in there. And I can't remember why, Matt, I'm getting tired, why did we say to increase legal fees more?
Don't know,
I don't
but
remember.
we're gonna have a lot more, utilities potentially coming online, I don't know.
Yeah, it was something.
Okay, but the good news is we don't have to take out of it, put somewhere else.
Nothing really big in there. James really didn't have a bunch of line items, but wish list on there. I did put in for, James told me this morning he wanted 200 more meters. That's what he wanted. Right now, we're paying $297 and something cents per meter. The meters have went up almost $100. So it'd be nice to get them in if they're gonna keep going up. So we paid, I think, $199 for the first round, James. Was it 200 a meter?
That's 200.
And so now they're up to almost 300.
How many orders have we gotten of the new meters? Just one?
Two.
Two. So we're ordering the third one then.
Well, we will in this budget year. James has been doing a lot. He's been averaging about 20, putting in 20 new meters a week, right?
Yeah, we put in over 50 this
I'm
month.
sorry,
last month.
50.
Over
So
50, so.
he's been overwhelming Virginia with work orders on swapping out.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, this is really good.
That way we can,
It'll make his life a whole lot easier.
And it will actually
easier.
bring our income up, because
And,
of it better track the water usage.
yeah, we're actually got a better meter tracking the water now.
So the guys are really doing a lot out there with that.
If those two new employees who do the installs, increase that number and save just on the cost of meters.
It takes them about a week to read, and then it takes the girls 3 to 4 days to input the data.
Yeah, I'm talking about the installer, the
Oh.
new meters.
Yeah.
We'll save on that. You said the cost went up.
James and I were talking, he said it takes him about 30 minutes to put a meter in. That's to change it out, new couplings, everything.
So I'm sorry, council, I'm gonna go a little bit top level on this, but if we had the perfect thing with all the meters, we got meters in here, how much time would we save in City Hall? How much time would we save in Public Works?
Oh, I was telling
3
that.
days.
I was,
Oh,
We can do it all in one day, I bet you.
so it takes me less than 5 minutes now to upload the meters to what I call bucketing, which is the box that goes out and reads. And then, depending if everything goes good, okay, I ran meters last time, I did all salvage, I did that in 15 minutes. It takes Pete like an hour, but I'm not sure, Pete and I are still discussing why it takes him an hour to run it. But it, you know, it
No,
was
but just
immediate,
running.
it was immediate, and then I can come back, I upload, it's done.
So if we had an electronic, we would put it on the truck, we run it around the city,
And it would take an
half
hour,
a day,
no, it would take an hour to run it, and it would take, as soon as I get it back in my hands, it would give me about 15 minutes to upload, and then the girls do a little bit of reconciliations, look for any problems, look for leaks. You're
so
talking
James would go
2 days.
from
Max.
a 4 day,
3 or 4,
4 day
to half a
down
day,
to half a day, worst case scenario,
one man.
right?
But
One
One man,
person
yeah.
instead of everybody.
So how many man hours is a day?
So,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask too.
so I just want you to
Times five is
understand how these
40
meters, you know, it's
40
worth the
hours?
investment.
40 man
Be
hours
able
a
to
day.
do that.
40
And
hours a
then
day.
at City Hall, you guys, instead of actually working on the billing, I mean, how many days do you put in after you get the books back?
A week.
A week. And you would turn from a week down to half a day?
I mean, it depends, like, some of the books are bigger than the other. Paul and I can put a book in 30 or 45 minutes, but the problem is when you have variances in the book. So what we see are reads that are in there that are wrong, transpose numbers, stuff like that. Then the time consuming is doing the
No, but
order
if we
and
read
sending
them,
back.
so,
But if we didn't have that,
Yeah.
then we could, I think, I'm sorry, I still think we could read and have all your data in within a half a day.
so half a day and half a day.
And the big selling point when they came in and talked to us was that you're gonna actually get paid for all the water you use. Where right now, old meters and whatever, that was the big selling point.
So council, think about it, you know, this is definitely worth an investment for us if we have a little bit of cash somewhere to help James out, go buy the meter, because we help him out, and we help the city hall folks too,
Absolutely.
being able to do that.
These meters we're installing, we can read them off the water towers too eventually if you want to. Put a reader on every water tower and they do everything here, we don't have to do anything.
We just need to invest on the equipment though, but it's true,
But
it's
one-
true.
One of the factors we have to consider too, tell me if I remember correctly, James, the warranty starts clicking on those the day we put them on our shelf, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and I don't want.
So if we buy a year's worth of meters and don't get them all in a year, we've already lost a year.
Yeah, well, that's why 200 works pretty good as we get the new homes.
Right.
So that works out.
That's what I'm saying.
But-
So
Yeah, we
we
need
need
to,
to buy as many as we can with the proviso that we can get them in the ground, before the warranty expires too far on them.
right now, we're working on getting everything out of the city limits to keep us from driving out of the city, so we're doing all those now. We've got a couple of roads going out of town finished, and we got 3 or 4 more to
And then
go.
do the concentrated areas, so you don't have to keep
Yeah.
stopping and getting
Right.
up, something, you know, do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just want to I want to plant the seed, so whenever James is looking and we have the time, to be able to come in a timely fashion, we
If
need
he
to,
gets a couple
we need
more
to spend the
men,
money because we save a lot of time for city hall and for public works.
You would say probably, at least off the top of my head, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year,
How much?
probably $100,000 a year in man hours. And
And you would
overhead-
increase
overhead
your
burden.
profit in the sale of the water. Probably that. We're giving away 40% of our water.
So that's double. So we save man hours.
I think we had 2 bad reads on the last one, and that's just, it was just, one of them, I don't think he went far enough, and the other one, I don't remember what happened. Like, there was 2 odd reads I had on there.
So we'll keep an eye,
Absolutely.
keep an eye on opportunity. All right, sorry about that. Thank you.
And I think we're reading about 350 right now, radio reads? James, we got about 350 radio reads out.
Well, I don't know.
Even with that new equipment, you're still gonna have mistakes too.
Not a ton of them, though. Like I said, out of the, I know there was 275 is what my count was when I took Black Betty out. And I had 2 wrong reads. The rest of them came out perfect.
So the 2 wrong with reads were on the new system.
Yeah, and that's one, just because I think PD didn't go far enough out where he needed to go. Because we have one out in Twin Lakes, and I don't think he got close enough to it. And the other one, I think, was a default. I can't remember, maybe James will remember. There was an issue with one.
Let me change the meter out.
That's compared to how many rereads on the manual.
Anywhere between 20 to 100, depending on how it goes.
There you go.
And that's including the work hours in-house and then sending the guys out, use of the truck, you know, wear and tear on the vehicles.
Redoing everything you
And
do
then,
now.
and then coming back in and putting them back. Yes.
It's not your, to have these.
So going back to Mike's thing, get 2 people to help out, right? I know. So it's good, that's good. All right,
All
here you go.
right, so, gas services, let's go ahead and jump to 700.
Yes, okay, after the sheet. Service.
We are not, using as much gas as we did before. So this is something I know that Matt has been looking at and other factors. If you go to the next page over, you can kind of see how I came up with that in the same kind of form that I did with water. I'm coming up a lot lower than I want to.
There's 2 pages.
2 over, sorry. Our average on the 7th month is 41,000 is what we're billing, and that's gross.
But if we've already billed to date, almost 400,000, how are we reducing next year to only 165,000 income? That seems really way too low. If this year alone, we've already billed 400,000 with 2 more months to go. Now, these are hotter months, right? They don't use the heaters and what takes a lot of gas, but
I only did it through that, through the
I think you
last
doubled
7
the
months.
sewer. Yeah, I think you doubled the sewer ratio.
Did?
Yeah. Just cover it up here.
Oh, I think I did, I'm
That's
sorry, guys.
oh, yeah.
I'm sorry about that, I did.
One is, but it matches, no, it doesn't. Okay.
I would have to go back and pull my.
So the big thing with the sewer council, just so you know, the new homes are not requesting gas.
No.
Right?
Then none of them are doing gas.
So we're not looking at a build out that goes along with that. We're actually looking at opportunities for those that are not using it. You know, we're trying to save some money to get them disconnected because it's less that we need to go out there and read. But at the same time, we're waiting for CPS for their contract, right?
Yeah, but it's gonna be 205.
So their contract cost is gonna go higher for maintenance purposes to be able to do that. So we're gonna need to account for that.
And I think when we looked at the numbers briefly before, we're gonna break pretty close to even in gas, because we're moving some higher end employees out of gas. We're gonna pay 1 low end employee out of the gas system. The rest of it is gonna go to CPS and the stuff we do. But I will tell you, talking to Simon Pena, the gas consultant the city used to use years ago, I talked to him briefly on some things to pick his brain, and he says there's some new regulations coming out that we're gonna be required to do to our system that potentially could cost, I mean, I don't know what they are, but could cost a lot of money. So we need to take a real good look at our gas system, because it is the one utility that we do absolutely zero with, other than send you a bill, collect the bill, and pay someone else to run for us. We're the middleman in our own utility. So we need to really look at that and see if that's where we want to stay, or if we want to reinvest in it and start to train our people up to be the licensed people. We went away from that because of all the issues we had with our gas system and leaks and problems and violations. And we don't have those anymore in CPS.
So we'll see, but that might be another discussion happening. But you think with the adjustment then, Matt and Lynette? with the
We need to look at the numbers again, but
we'll
I
break
think,
even.
I think we'll be closer
That
to
was based on January to July, so that, remember, July is really June, so that is 6 months. You're gonna have October to there, that probably does come up with the same amount that is at 394. But the average for those warmer months are coming in really low, so I wanna average a little bit differently for the next one. I'm gonna say it's gonna be closer to that 4719.
Okay.
And right now, we only have 345 homes that are using it.
Yeah, we don't have, out of 998 homes, that doesn't include the new homes, but out of 998, so a third third of the homes inside of Lytle Crawford actually use gas. So, we're gonna do that.
And my formulas do reflect, not 900, but the 340,000. But I need to go back and look at the high months on the really, really cold months. So let me, I'm
So
gonna
if we could take
redo that one.
our gas service fees, even if we budgeted that at 400,000 as income there, and then plus our expenses, we're about 24,000 over budget. We're bringing in 24,000 less than we're spending.
Okay.
So that's a lot better than years past.
Yeah.
A lot better.
So that was with the adjustment of the employee then? That kind
Yes,
of helped out?
yes.
Okay.
I think we'll be talking a different story come winter time.
I can look at those averages.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they go, I know my bills,
Yeah,
it's crazy during the
definitely.
winter.
And I think we had I was trying to remember in my head, I think we had a warm into, or early spring. didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do a 10-month on that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, gas is good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I went ahead and moved that up to 400,000, but I will refigure. All right, let's go.
Sewer.
Sewer, I did the same thing with the sewer on your revenue numbers.
Mhm.
I'm taking averages in there.
9 homes.
So that really would be weather-based, so I'm assuming that, based on the 869 houses, that is what's on the service for these. We came out at $38.93 on the average.
Remember, we average that though, when we adopt our fee structure for water, that's what gives us determines, I think, talking to Gene, it's like
That sounds about right.
December, January, February. It's those 3 months that you use to determine what their sewer bill is. It doesn't change every month from what I gather talking to everybody. It's really weird how that.
That way you don't get
Bill
the
them
average
out,
when
yeah.
they're watered
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
So,
So my configuration, I came out with 378,000 based on the averages that I put in there and using the curve reduction. Right now, we've billed 368,000. We're doing right at 33,000 monthly on average. So I think we're about where we need to be on that, maybe 400,000.
Yeah.
But we can look at the whole year. But I'm gonna go ahead and change that to 400,000.
And then in the salaries, so right now Pete is in there and then we have an open slot in there.
Yes.
I think I messed.
No.
that up.
It was me.
Oh.
That's the open spot we still have open in public works that we can't fill.
Okay.
So yeah, there is still an open spot there.
Okay. And that goes with the sewer.
Yeah, I figured that's where probably the majority of the work, needs to be a couple guys there in sewer.
All those wipes, right, James? All those wipes that get stuck.
It's a dirty word, James, literally.
I know.
And all the equipment that we were talking about, the cutters and all that, that's the printouts, all that is built in.
So,
We're talking about new cutters and sweeper arms and
you talk about
the
streets,
sewer,
sweepers,
sewer.
arms.
yeah, for the solid waste.
That's gonna be all part of the new wastewater treatment plant. When they build the new one, they convert both. That way they're compatible, they're the two same plants, so
Oh, okay,
that's what they're talking about.
okay, so we don't have to invest that in the current.
No, we'll cover that when we do certificates of obligation.
Okay.
We'll get the monies to
But
do
for
it.
the current one, we still need to do some work on the current one right now, right?
That's what James is looking at and should be determining prices on.
I think that's some of the stuff that Mike
Yeah, we
was
was talking about
that Mike is
it.
referring to. So if we're gonna do it.
So
this-
you mean the violation from the inspection, the deficiencies that were noted, what's that gonna cost us to fix?
That and we were talking, so in the last workshop, we were talking about the solid waste and how you have to go down there and treat it like once a day or every other day. And you were talking about sweeper arms and the cutter, the new cutter head, or you were talking about a lot of items that we needed to.
And we need a couple sweep, that's,
Yes.
rubber deal goes around, we need 2 of those, we
Right.
gotta
So
replace.
that was
How
the
much are those?
question, is all that included in this coming
Are
up?
you gonna handle it this year?
I don't, we're having a hard time finding it. It's supposed to be a manufacturer in Seguin, we heard, but we haven't been able to get a hold of them.
So-
Let me work with
Should be a
James
list.
to try to figure out what they need and to try to find vendors that can do this for us. Right now, we know what we need, but we can't really seem to find, we've heard there's somebody out there that does it, but we don't know who the
if
someone
that's
is.
gonna come out of the current budget or.
Well, there's potential for that, but there's CDs the
Okay.
city has that, or they're rainy day CDs, right? If something broke big and we may have to look at how this year's budget goes. We may have to catch some of those because we've done some big ticket repairs out there this year.
My budget is 70,000 in there for some of the repairs. But like Matt said, we have the CDs as well. We're gonna have to get estimates on materials.
When we cash a CD, can we partially cash a CD?
From what I was told from Danielle, is there is no penalty for cashing the CD. I don't know I don't see a reason why we couldn't do a partial and then reissue in the new one, or if we would just put it in an account. I'm getting better interest on, say, our infrastructure account than I am our CDs right now, in the money market. So, I would want Matt and I to look at that to see what would be better for our money at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Would the availability be the same on CD and any other investment that we do?
Not always, it depends on the account. We've got anything from 2 all the way to 5. It just depends how it's been. Now, from what Max told me in September, everything gets rebid again, and then of course we can see where we stand there when it comes to the CD percentages and stuff like that.
But the money, we can cash a CD anytime we want, right?
Yes, sir, penalty free is what, the way I understood it. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know for sure, but
Okay.
last I was told that we could cash CDs penalty free.
Yes.
And any other investment we might do, we'll look at being able to draw out of those immediately if we need it, right?
Yes.
So if I look at the sewer, just overall revenue and then the total expense, so a little bit shy of 200,000.
Mhm.
We'll be making.
Now that we moved the employees around, yes. Before then, it was a little bit.
Remember, some of these, once we get to more final numbers, you'll see transfers from these funds into the general fund to help cover some of those costs.
No, this is good.
So as of changing the stuff that Matt we talked about and increasing some of the funds, like you said, I wasn't really sure with the water and gas, we have brought up our negative balance to a positive 12,577.
Pretty good, moving from a $300,000 deficit.
We made
That's
a
pretty
lot-
easy.
We made a lot of money,
That's
so
what I'm thinking.
That's
let's
good.
stay till midnight.
No, my kids,
That's good.
kids might kill me.
So,
You're
anyway,
in the back crying,
this is
trying
what
to
it's
sleep
for.
on the
We
floor.
were here to speak the numbers, we were here to talk about them. So this is what we were
I get-
supposed to do.
Like I said, this is just a budget work, it's a working copy. Once we get back, we have to still file the proposed budget, which is more of that solidified budget. This is our proposed budget, we get one more stab after that to make any changes before we adopt the budget. So we still got a couple more times to.
Think about it, reach out to us if you don't see something that makes sense. This is all driven by y'all that sit up there.
So the question for you and council, how does it look overall?
With these changes, and if we feel comfortable with the water revenue and the gas and sewer revenue that we just changed, it looks fine to me now. Before then, I was kind of gritting my teeth.
Okay.
We'll get some more time that we can sit down and again, line by line, look at everything. We may find another thing or two that we just, because it's been a late day, we breathe
The
over
good
it.
thing is that we're being conservative right now.
Very.
So-
I'm extremely conservative, mostly with our revenues.
So if we have anything, in a sense of up, it's just gonna get better. So we're operating at the conservative level to make sure that the budget balances itself out. So I'll be able to do that. But I think the big thing for us to take into consideration with this, and with Matt and Lynette's guidance, is we just need to make sure that we're prepared to prioritize and do the things that we need to do. So council, just kind of be prepared. Did you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Now, we're making one more change real quick that I'm sorry, we'll those back in the day.
Okay, so
It's just what we
the only thing I want you to be prepared, it could be as quickly as this next meeting or the following. I'll work with Matt and Lynette based on where we're at. But I think at a certain point as a council, we're gonna need to decide, hey, these are the things that we feel we need to tackle, okay? So then we can make it easier for our staff to go ahead and start working those and try to figure out, okay, if we need to do these other things, how we're gonna be able to get there if it's not within the budget. And that's where we're talking about getting some help with that additional consultant to come in that might be able to help us out, maybe find some money for some of these priorities that we actually have to. So be thinking of that, think of stuff that you might think is a priority, so we can go ahead and put it on there, and then we let the staff run with it. You know, versus us coming every day or every meeting or next meeting and asking the exact same questions over and over. It's better for us to just go ahead and put it together and then give it to the staff and let them work it, okay? And then they just come back to us when they're ready to go ahead and let us know. But that'll give them an idea. So be prepared here in the next two meetings, one of the two, depending on where we're at with some of this, to be able to come back to you and ask you for priorities, what you feel are important for us to go ahead and tackle. Okay? Questions? Can't say thanks enough from the council to all of you being able to put this together. Lynette, especially for you. I know you burned the midnight. Yeah, you did, putting a lot
I
of
had
this.
people bringing me food, I had people bringing me coffee.
Yeah.
And this place is haunted, I'm gonna tell you that right now. This is a haunted building.
Well, the other day I thought we were haunted because I saw from the side view, I saw a door closed and I was like, I said something, it's like, is anybody there? Anybody there? And then I told David, follow me, because I was like, if I'm gonna see something, I want you to be my witness.
The mayor's crazy.
I was like, I don't know.
Paula jumped around the corner
It
out of
was
the.
Paula closing doors as she was leaving, and we just kept hearing stuff, and it was Paula leaving. So Paula was working late that day, taking care of business.
Saturday night, and I'm sitting here, and you could hear people walking through here. You could hear footsteps.
Okay, so revenue driven, 31 October, we have a lock-in, okay? We actually, people paying, we lock them in, and they see if
From
we
the-
survive overnight.
I can tell you from my PD days, working night shift sitting over there's something going. I've cleared this building twice in the middle of the night thinking somebody's in here.
I can hear people walking, I really do.
All I'm saying is revenue,
And I
it's
thought,
good,
I was like, well,
revenue
maybe-
opportunity, right?
Haunted house.
A little-
And then one night,
Always
Paula
coming
was
up.
working late and said the same exact thing. She was here till like 10 o'clock and we get texts, we have a group text with all the girls and she goes, this place is haunted.
I got the thing.
I was like, yes.
When I work nights to avoid that, I just slept. That way it didn't. Never heard nothing.
Hey, the city was safe, Richie was on duty. He was out.
I did knock on the door back then. No, we didn't have
Tape's
to.
still on, Richie.
All right.
Statute of limitations, 25
Okay,
years.
any last minute things? Anything at all? Okay, once again, thank you to the staff. A lot of work on this. We appreciate the time. It is a workshop, so we don't need a motion, but we're gonna go ahead and put down all of 9:10.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion.
We'll go ahead and close, well, we're at this workshop,
No,
so,
okay.
so be able to do that. But we'll go ahead and shut it down. Once again, start thinking of those